just firing on all fronts. Let's go. We're going to Infernal Shrines for game 1. Bans on Volskaya Foundry. That's going to be SpaceStation's ban. Tomb of the Spider Queen for Team 12. That is very interesting to see. Infernal Shrines, though, that is a good battleground for both teams. Both teams feel very comfortable there, so it is a neutral battleground to kick off this best-of-5 series.
A neutral for sure. You know, I'm just trying to think of the way the map complements playstyles. And SpaceStation is a very dive-heavy composition. They love to coordinate efforts. They love to follow up on combos, follow up on CC. They average some of the highest CC percentage in the game, or in North America, and they rely heavily on those types of combos and the CC that they provide. Last weekend, they did a lot of it around a Nubrak in particular. So we'll see if that comes through. This is something that complements a style well that a Nubrak can fit in and gives you those choke points you can dive in.
A Noob Genji Uther. We saw a little bit of a Noob Genji play between for LFM in the last series. SpaceStation put on a clinic with it versus Freedom. So much so that in game 2, Uther was banned once a Nubrak was picked. In game 4, we saw Genji be taken away from that, but still SpaceStation revolved around that heavy engage from Equinox's Anubarak. We'll see if he still even gets that hero here, and if Team 12 can better fare against that dive-heavy composition. Team 12, though, we're seeing our first, I think that's the first Alexstrasza first ban, but she elicits a lot of control over those shrines, and it's something that SpaceStation has shown a liking to on this map.
Can confirm that is the first ban. Team 12 taking a priority. Tomster has played multiple Alexstrasza games, and as we witnessed in the previous game, despite the lack of success, Alexstrasza definitely has her presence felt on Infernal Shrines as we move through this draft pretty quickly. The Blaze pickup is almost a denial from that of Team 12 because they have more than one Blaze player between Goku and Justine, depending on how they want to play that, whether it's the secondary tank or the main tank.
Yeah, and I feel like Justine has been one of the strongest Blaze players we've had in North America so far. For sure the first to show a lot of focus on the hero. However, in the last game versus Team Freedom, Blaze was also picked up by Jason, and he played Blaze really well. So Jason's going to be able to have this pretty strong hero, and SpaceStation in general trends toward the double warrior. So that fits alongside that style, but with a Malfurion, Tracer is picked up by Team 12 as well as Malthael.
Tracer on this battleground, not necessarily known as the high priority because there is so much, focus on the shrine itself. But, you mentioned the Anubarak Uther combo. Blaze kind of fits the same role as Anubarak. You kind of go in, you're trying to hit a spot, you're trying to hit a location. This time you can get multiple stuns the same way that you can with Anubarak. So whether that is maybe Equinox moving over that or whether it's Jason, they definitely have a lot of what they look for when it comes to the dive style and stun lockdown.
Anytime I see a aggressive team in that second ban position ban Medivh, I get really excited. It's like, you don't get to stop what's coming to you with the ley line, with the force of will. We're going to bring it to you. And if you don't pick that in those first 3 picks, there's no way that you get it. Team 12, though, they take away Genji. Team Freedom tried that strategy versus what ended up being the Anubarak dive, but it's the Genji, and there's also a Greymane ban that SpaceStation themselves banned. So in this instance, that was the other hero that we saw from Casanova to go along with the dive when Genji wasn't available. So we'll see if that's still how SpaceStation want to play things out. Looks like no, they're going to change things up and get Tyrael Tychus.
They get the Tychus, but I feel they're not done yet. They might actually move into another melee, I think, potentially with this setup, depending on what they want to go. I think there's a lot of flexibility between the Blaze and Tyrael pickup, so we'll see if there is more to complement that or whether it's just another backliner. We'll see. It seems that's the more traditional style that they've kind of settled into, but I think there's always that crazy factor that we could see. Now with Tracer, Malthael, Malfurion, we still need somebody on the front line, but we need more of a sustained style damage, something that can control that front line. Also, don't forget, a lot of mage play on both sides here.
Yeah, it comes down to who's going to play that Tracer, Dansky or Cure, as neither has played Tracer. No, Cure did play one game. So a mage is still definitely possible, especially having Malfurion with Innervate to give some cooldown reduction, also to give mana. That's a likely pick. There it is. There's Gul'dan, and Justine's Arthas returns.
So looking at this, there's no Hanzo. And one of the stats that I brought into this weekend was Hanzo on Infernal Shrines globally has a 37% win rate. There it is. I had a feeling that they were going to go with another melee and get aggressive with that style of composition. That is I think if you're trying to throw a curveball, play out of your mind, as Tomster would have said, then be aggressive. And as much as we've seen Equinox on the main tank, and when they settled back on the main tank, he is also a renowned, I'm pretty sure in his Twitter bio, Kerrigan is in the first line of it about how much he loves to play Kerrigan.
Yeah, it's sort of like when we were in the last series seeing the Kerrigan for Heroes Hearth, and we wondered if it was going to be Equinox, but I have news for you. This is a Casanova Kerrigan.
Ooh.
We're going to see Equinox be played by, Equinox is going to play the Blaze with Jason playing the Tyrael, so that's quite a change up to see. But as you were talking about, Blaze seems to fit Equinox's tanking style pretty well.
It's pretty neat, right? We kind of see the contrast of, look, we relied a lot on Anub'arak. Anub'arak has a significantly less health pool. He has spell armor built in, but his health pool is significantly lower. Blaze has that bigger health pool. He has a lot of ways to survive. He can still make the same type of impact. And then when you look at the fact that you have Sanctification and Bunker, Kerrigan fits right into that. That's why when I saw those two picks, I'm like, all right, that seems standard, but I think there's something else. We got ourselves a Kerrigan.
Well, we've got ourselves a game. Game 1, in fact, between SpaceStation and Team 12. With SpaceStation in the blue, we've got Jason playing the Tyrael. Casanova will be on Kerrigan. Tomster, support player, playing Uther. Equinox on Blaze. And finally, Jay Shrita playing the Tychus.
And on the right side in red will be Team 12, as it will be Goku on Malthael, Justin on Arthas, Cure, the Tracer player we've got going on here. Dansky playing Gul'dan, Buds on Malfurion.
Well, we know what SpaceStation want to do. They want to be diving in. They want to be very aggressive. Team 12, they have some tools to deal with that. They've got a Malfurion who's going to have Twilight Dream, Ice Block at 13 to try to help with that. They also have Gul'dan, which versus a lot of melee is going to be building up that Echoed Corruption pretty quickly, and then at 10 has Horrify. Arthas can try to zone people away too, but whether or not that's enough to deal with the aggression of SpaceStation, that's what we're here to find out.
But if you can get that double root that you just mentioned with Echoed Corruption, you get the roots from Malfurion, you get the roots from Arthas, that Corruption could just blow this game wide open, especially against the Uther and that heavy melee. So it's going to be a lot on Tyrael, a lot on Blaze to try and control that front line. That's going to be really fun. You know, Uther, by the way, because there's so much periodic damage, has 44 stacks on his Silver Touch in less than a minute into the game.
That's impressive. That's almost record gaining. We're going to keep an eye on that.
The periodic damage, the Tracer damage, there's so many different ways to stack that quickly. I mean, you know, it's going to be there no matter what. It's just, I looked over, I'm like, wow, this is 44 already.
Now, as we were talking about with those ways of Team 12 being able to deal with the aggression of SpaceStation, a lot of that comes in at level 10. And with having this early game hero, this early game combo, lockdown combo with a Kerrigan, we're seeing SpaceStation be willing to aggress in forward. Those roots were so good, bought just enough time before Equinox could jet propulsion in. But there is a place for a great combo, and it is found by Casanova as first blood taken by SpaceStation.
SpaceStation in a nutshell, and Gilly, they love to dive, and they love to dive together. Brought everybody in, or at least in the general area for that, to make sure and get themselves first blood. Now, you mentioned Malfurion. There's a couple options we can go with. Level 4, you have the option of going bigger roots that last longer, or you have vengeful roots, which you can get that Tramp to go through and get some damage, get some more stacking damage every time you hit a person. With the heavy melee composition, it is Infernal Shrines. Do we get bigger roots, or do you think we maybe get, it's just going to be bigger?
Do you get bigger roots? Looking at this solo lane setup for SpaceStation, SpaceStation are losing out quite heavily in the solo lane thanks to Cure constantly rotating up to assist with Goku, and that SpaceStation has opted for, instead of Jason playing the Blaze, the side laner, and being able to get the great damage, the wave clear that he has from that, he still has shields for the minions, but because SpaceStation want to keep Blaze along with the Kerrigan so that they have the stun lock combination, Team 12 are able to get a lot more done in that top lane. They've been able to take out towers in the top, they're working on that full gate, and that is where the first shrine is going to spawn. So we'll see if Team 12 can make a gigantic power play off of that by getting the first shrine.
See how it plays out. Pretty even thus far across the battleground. Outside of that 1 kill experience, pretty even. Shaman Camp's picked up, but because it is in that top lane, probably not going to get the type of push we would traditionally see. Instead, we'll probably have our first skirmish. However, SpaceStation has split Blaze off to the bot lane, trying to make use of this Kerrigan pick that has some pretty quick clear.
Yeah, gets the 9-10 skeletal defenders before Team 12 moves in. Having the slows on Jason to enable that Gul'dan.
That's 16 stacks already on Echoed Corruption.
Yeah, he's been racking that up.
Yeah, that's pretty quick, especially given the opportunities he's had have actually not been plentiful, but he's making the most out of every opportunity he does have.
Malthael staying to clear out mid as Blaze rotates up. 7 closer here for Team 12, but it's not out of the realm for SpaceStation, and SpaceStation maintain the advantage in skeletal defenders now. 23 halfway, over halfway, as Team 12 get their level 7.
Good place for Team 12 to be in terms of experience, but bad place to be when it comes to this Punisher, which seems like it's all but a foregone conclusion that SpaceStation will lock in this first one. Not the most painful Punisher that we'll see when it's this early, but going to be picked up here by SpaceStation right as they hit level 7.
Malthael's gone down to join Blaze, and the bottom Tyrael has gone to the mid. SpaceStation is not looking to get a ton done here. They're not trying to all of a sudden get the fort unless maybe we see Tyrael rotate back up. Because Casanova can try to get a combo through the gate, pull people in, but Team 12 is staying very safe in their positioning. And SpaceStation probably recognizing that that would be the case, just get what they can. They don't even get the full towers in this top, as the clear from Team 12 was so good with that Punisher.
Yeah, the one thing that Malthael is doing, Gilly, because they don't get that extra structure value, SpaceStation, you don't necessarily net a positive experience because the mid-bottom are able to be double soaked by this newer Malthael that has the cleave, makes it a little bit easier for him. So getting that clear by Malthael has kept Team 12 in this game. And then SpaceStation trying to get that advantage by splitting people off. They didn't get it, and by not getting those structures, couldn't find a way in.
Goku using that on a pale horse just
on the little rocket.
Ran straight in. Said hello to Jay Shritta as he'll go back up to his home in the top lane. SpaceStation are faster on the uptake now. They've learned the lesson of last time in the invade. They're not going to get caught by roots this time as Casanova dives in. Team 12 says, yeah, you can have it. That's all right.
It's yours. They take it. They've been in control so far, but shouldn't be too difficult to clear out. Experience pretty even. Both teams will have level 10 by the time we get to the next phase. Here getting a bit of damage in, but Malthael left alone here on the top was able to push that lane in and get some structure value.
Yeah, they got more structural damage done in that slow siege of top than SpaceStation did.
Oh
wow. Recall.
Holy, there's
Tomster
nobody.
was hoping that he would be in position to quickly hit that, but nope. Kier is out of there, but Kier has to go back.
He went holy shot. So he was looking, if he could get in range, right? You get the extra range at level 1. So 50% increased range going with holy shot. He was just a few, I don't know, not very far away, but Justin, he's not very far away from death, but the Horrify is going to help the bunkers put down to try and keep them alive. Equinox trying to stay alive. He has the armor.
Synced.
The shield is there.
Synced, there it is. They pull in Arthas. They take him down. But look at this. Team 12 is collapsing on the other side of this. Has the Twilight Dream. Tychus falls too, and Team 12 chasing down one by one everyone from SpaceStation. They're going to turn around hoping they can get the kill on Kier, but a last-second regrowth from Buds gives the healing to start ticking back up, and the Moonfire gives a little bit more. That positioning from Team 12 was so cool.
Could have been busted wide open there, but the return damage, the Horrify, of course, starting that. The good bunker, there was a lot of counter plays made by both teams, just worked out in favor of Team 12 as they had the 2-for-1 trade there in their favor. They're going to get a camp here at the bottom. Tomster's just going to kind of sniff this out, make sure not to miss too much XP. He's going to hold the fort wall for now. The Shrine will be active here in 15 seconds in that mid lane.
No Saint for 50, no Odin for about the same, but there will be a bunker should things get dicey for SpaceStation. Team 12 starting to rotate back up to the Shrine. Blaze might be the one in danger, though. Good to see him get chased back. Root lands. Bunker used. It's a short cooldown, but even still, it was a great combo, though, pulling Justin in. And with the jet propulsion, Equinox diving in, as Equinox will do, giving that chain crowd control, and SpaceStation gets a kill right at the start of this Shrine phase.
That's where Arthas struggles, is mobility. There is none. So, not able to do that. Equinox sniffs out a little bit. I'm going to go one way, away from light goes the other. Just kind of accidentally cross paths there. Team 12 turn their attention towards the bot lane, trying to get this bottom fort down. Good thing is, when you have a Kerrigan on your team, you can always race that solo by yourself, getting those Q resets onto those minions. Makes it quite a bit quicker, allows you to defend. Good job by SpaceStation.
Yeah, the big deal for SpaceStation is not only that they claim these shrines, and they're doing a great job of trying to get kills at opportune moments for themselves. But they also need to make sure they don't ever overcommit to resources. Team 12 are going to be fluid in their shot calling. This is a team that has already played internationally together as a 5-man roster. They're going to have very quick reactions and change things up. That idea of making the best of a bad situation. And you saw that there. Immediately going to the bottom and getting a lot of damage done to the fort before SpaceStation chases them away. SpaceStation ends up getting the Punisher. They're also clearing out that top lane too. They need to make sure that as they continue to get these kills, that they're responding and respecting what Team 12 can do and not overcommitting to any sort of situation.
Equinox trying to see if there's a stun, see if he can follow up on it. Roots in return, Corruption hitting as well. Should net them a fort here. See if they try and be aggressive. Look for a jump. Team 12 responds knowing that that jump was just a moment away. Get behind the gate safely.
Yeah, and Holy Ground to lock them in there, too. If anyone had been outside of that, then it might have been that they would have been able to proc the leap before the fact. But in this instance, giving SpaceStation time to take out that fort, that's the first fort of the game to go down. It heads immediately down to the bottom, gets some tower damage done. Team 12 coming here, too, as both teams will go back and start to get their camps. So that bottom lane, SpaceStation wants to keep an eye on that since that fort is fairly low.
Yeah, it's opened up, it's exposed on both sides, but definitely the lower side on SpaceStation. You know, Dansky's sitting at 34 corruption stacks. He's been landing them, but once you get that completed and they return back, you get those other ones, he's now at 36. That can be far more threatening than anything we've seen so far, and I wonder, will we see Ruinous Affliction? We've seen a lot of players going that lately. Nice self-cleanse there by Mount.
Very well done. That inevitable end. Yeah, this is one of the fastest stacking that we've seen for Echoed Corruption. And as we talked about, there is a ton of melee, so it's a little bit easier for Dansky to build up those stacks, but he's been consistently hitting those, and the team trying to make sure that they can help him with that as a combo. Well, a pull from Casanova. But that, finishing that and having Ruinous Affliction, it's a ton of poison damage, and there's just that solo Uther to try to keep everyone alive.
And Shrite knows good and well about that, as he was one of the main players when he ran Gul'dan last weekend, I believe, and he made that work. He made the Ruinous Affliction work. He helped win games off 1 or 2 casts that just was way too much to deal with. So very much aware of that is SpaceStation, but full melee nonetheless.
I mean, that even happened yesterday with Hosty on Towers of Doom. And there's some more. Great route to catch him. Another route, too, the double route.
I think the problem, you know, Tracer, great hero. You're looking at Uther armor, you got bunker, you've got shielding from Tyrael, you've got all kinds of things available at your disposal on the side of SpaceStation. So it makes it, you know, kind of difficult to deal with, I think, as a Tracer. Your opportunities are much, much, much slimmer than they would be against other compositions.
Yeah, and there's that Neo Steel coating to help with the 4 routes with the Pulse Bomb. As you talked about, you still get the damage from the Quantum Spike, having the % damage. Great Ice Block from Buds as he stays alive, and there's the Echoed Corruption starting to chunk through a lot of these SpaceStation players. The Shrine will be activating soon. It's going to be in the top lane, which both sides have sustained damage on their structures. Team 12 hoping to get some of this Shaman pressure out for them. SpaceStation just doing the same, though, as neither will gain a huge advantage from that unless one team focuses on clearing that out.
Speaking of focusing on clearing one out, Essence for Essence picked up. It's like blood for blood. You take a little bit and you give and you gain a little bit. So you deal 10% of your enemies max health. We'll see. But that Horrify as well as the Echoed Corruption. Are you kidding me, Dansky?
Oh, that was a Horrify on a route so that they couldn't even run away. They were still there for a perfect Twilight Dream to follow that up from Buds. Two are gone, and a lot more to follow. Jason just going down to the poisons. The Odin there too. Team 12 just wiped SpaceStation Gaming.
Yeah, Team 12 did, but I'd say Dansky. Oh my goodness.
Dansky plus Buds. The Horrify on the route so that they didn't leave, so we could walk in and Twilight Dream to everyone. Yes, with the poisons. It was a combo for the ages, to be sure. The combo of these two right there.
Their health bars went from blue to brown. This is insane. They went full in. You will rarely ever see a play like that. That's the thing. You mentioned this when we first started, is that amount of melee into a Gul'dan being able to stack up. Once he finished that, you're looking at more damage. Going Ruinous Affliction and landing those, it is insane damage.
Nice combo from Dansky and Butts. It was a little like the corruption we saw on this very map last time. I think that was from last weekend. And that every single health bar just melted under the pressure. That gives Team 12 a shrine, a camp, a level lead.
Yep.
But they may lose a Goku here.
They're going to have to dive under this.
Holy
Equinox,
shot.
if he can.
He did it. Whoa.
They got minions. They're fine. They can continue to die.
Goku. That was still a pretty sneaky play. With the Death Shroud, the Wraith Strike around.
Yeah, but this keep is exposed.
Yeah, he bought
gets the
so
interrupt.
much time.
That is, well, Justin, he's trying to live through that, the damage from Shrite.
That's a couple of times now that Shrite is sort of 1v1'd the Arthas in this game. Granted, it wasn't a true 1v1, but in that case, getting a lot of damage in. The other time they turned around, had the Kerrigan combo. This time Kerrigan went back, but it was too late. Great delay on those backs from Justin. Allows Team 12 to get the keep off of the Punisher, put some more poison damage down on Equinox, and try to siege down this mid fort.
The stun is there. They just don't have the follow-up. The bunkers used, getting caught in some roots there. But you got to credit the quick and precise rotations there of Team 12. Stun just missing onto Justin, but getting the keep, rotating over, almost taking this fort, just setting up a lot as this game starts to open up. 20, almost here for Team 12.
One play opened up the game for Team 12, but don't forget that this entire game, their rotations have been crisp. Anytime they lost somebody, like when they lost Justin in the mid, very quick to go down and take some towers out, do some fort damage with their Gul'dan. Now Casanova under a lot of pressure, use the Maelstrom and the Divine Shield. Justin still chasing in, hoping to keep the slows going with the Pulse Bomb. Kerrigan falls.
Gets stuffed. Cure making plays happen. Just get right in there, young fella.
They've got 20 and they're feeling good as Team 12 with this mercenary camp and those 2 kills go even further forward, working on another keep. Tyrael is all the way in mid, Blaze is all the way in top, and Team 12 just steps right past that keep, getting onto the core right now as everyone else starts to come back. They've already started to bring down the shielding, bring down the core health though too, as they're sticking on the core. Tychus is now fallen, only 2 to defend. Gul'dan goes down, but I don't think it's gonna matter, J-How.
Yeah, it just seems like way too much to deal with. Equinox trying to hold on there. Justin staying alive through all this, and SpaceStation Gaming will fall. Major plays by Dansky. Team effort, right? Buds and Dansky, I think, are definitely the 2 players you look at in that game. That was, when you play Gul'dan, you're like, man, I really hope the lights come on, right? But you really kind of hope for those dream moments. One of the reasons you play Heroes of the Storm, right? You look for that perfect combo, that perfect game that you can get. Just landing something is just like poggers, you know, just straight poggers, and you land it, and he got it, and that is that moment that it's just like, it doesn't even matter win or lose. It's just like, that happened, but you win too.
Yeah, because otherwise you would have some pretty serious anti-synergy. If you horrify people away, you're not going to get as many hit by the Twilight Dream. But it turns out, if you're also rooted at the same time as the horrify, you're both feared so you can't do anything, and also going nowhere. There's no running back to your base when you're scared. Instead, you've got a giant tree running at you to silence you after the fear. It was one huge play that just, there was always the possibility that one play would do that because how well Team 12 played to counter things that SpaceStation were doing, but that play was phenomenal. But you know what? We have heard a lot about Jay Shrita and his time here in North America playing, so let's hear from him about how it's been in HGC.
My name is Juan Freitas. My nickname is Jay Shrite. I'm a flex player from SpaceStation Gaming. I graduated in engineer production 3 years ago. I worked in a lot of companies like Coca-Cola and I dropped my work because I say to my mom, I really want to be a pro player. And you say this in Brazil, it's like so crazy because I didn't receive any money to play, but I say it for my family, oh, well, if I want to be the best player, I can't work in the morning, in the afternoon, and play at night. It's not like this. Players need to play like 10, 12 hours. A lot of things happen in my life after this. I lose a relationship for during 6, 7 years because my ex-girlfriend, she said, oh, I not want this to my life. You are an engineer and now you are nothing, because it's how the people look for you in Brazil when you say you want to be a pro player. My family say I was really crazy because I make so much more money in the engineer product that I make now, but I'm not playing for money. And I say this is my life. This is what I want for my next years, and doesn't matter what everyone knows it is. And I know I have potential. I know if I play this game every day, one day I can be the best in the world. This is my dream. I think the most of my followers and the people in Brazil wanna see me to play in North America and see, oh, it's your country playing a major region. But I think sometimes they feel this is a little strange because Heroes of the Storm is not a specific player, it's a team player. They normally want to see, oh, we wanted a Brazilian team to play North America, but I think this is the first step. Maybe this can be the future. Other teams moving to major regions to play. But yeah, I feel like they are so excited to see me play, and I'm carried my country flag, and everyone in Brazil will be excited for this.
Jay Schritte sacrificed a lot to make this happen, to be in HGC. He has worked tirelessly on his play, on his English. You know, just 2 years ago, I don't even know if he'd be able to do an interview in English, but he's been working so hard on that. He moved from his home country, away from his family, and now he's here in the Heroes Global Championship. Maybe a frustrating start for him and for SpaceStation, as they did lose several series along the way, but last weekend, I would say that was all worth it, getting that win, that upset over Freedom.
I think to put this frame this into context, Jay Schritte chased a dream. And that sounds well and good, but for people that don't know his story, he came here without a promise that he would be on a team. He was willing to give up everything. He was willing to play in the open division and work his way in. He was looking for tryouts. He was finding different ways. It's not like you just go and you think, oh, I hope this happens. He worked at it. He earned it. He earned his spot. He tried out. He found himself on this team, and he's working to continue to make sure he deserves it. And so far, I'd say he's done more than earn it and deserve it. He's proving why he's here. And to me, that really hits home with me. The fact that he was willing to chase a dream without a promise, like that is so, it's so heartfelt to see that him have the success that he has. I'm more proud now after watching that. You know, I kind of knew the story, but that's so amazing to hear.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of faith in yourself and your abilities to be able to make it on a team, and he did. And we had an idea that he would, because based on his play, you know, he's the only person to be on every single Latin American team at an international event, but still awesome to see him get the chance and to be putting up the results that we've seen along with SpaceStation. Let's get into Game 2 and see how SpaceStation does